Hi, and welcome to Six Figure Signature Offers, the place female founders come to create businesses that deliver both peace and profit. I'm your host, Robin Birkin, online business strategist. I built my first six-figure business with a baby and a toddler working just 6 hours per week. And I grew it to multi-six figures, more than 1 million podcast downloads and 1,500 clients before returning to my true expertise and growing this business to multi-six figures in less than 15 months, all in part-time hours. The one secret weapon that's fueled both businesses, a hero signature offer. The kind of offer that turns you from just another face in your niche to the authority, makes content creation 10 times easier, and powers rinse and repeat launches with big pockets of freedom in between. My mission is simple: to help you create a scalable business model that lets you work less, earn more, and build the kind of business that actually feels good to run. So if you've ever wondered how to create easeful yet wildly successful launches, how to get off the revenue roller coaster, or how to juggle being a present parent and the breadwinning CEO, sit back, subscribe. I am so happy to have you here. Let's go. Hello, I am so excited to be speaking with you again on the podcast. How are you? I am so grateful to you for listening to the podcast, and I'm so excited to be speaking today about the best launch strategy for a part-time schedule. And yes, it is possible to run multi-six-figure plus business in part-time hours. And in fact, isn't that the goal? Isn't the goal to have a business that makes the same or more or double the wages that you used to make, whilst having full flexibility, whilst being able to go out to lunch with your girlfriends, whilst being able to pick up the kids every day from school and take time off, go on holidays? That is the goal. Surely that is the reason that you signed up for entrepreneurial freedom. So I'm going to speak to you today about here's how you actually get it. Here's the best launch strategy for right now. Now, launch strategy does and doesn't change. There is definitely nuances. There's definitely benefits to being in the room with other people who are launching alongside you and finding out little nuances between what works and what doesn't. Although by and large, launch strategy and good launch strategy is fairly timeless. But if you have a part-time schedule, what is it going to take for you to have really great launches and to also prioritize your time, to not have content and launch burnout, and to feel like everything is rather easeful in the way that you are running your business? So I've got 5 things here that are really going to be pretty critical in allowing you to do that. And the majority of the women, I'm just trying to think to all of the women that I have in my containers, the vast majority, maybe save for 1 or 2, people that I work with are women who are working part-time, who want to have that $200,000 to $500,000 business. And these are the things that we focus on in order to help them make that a reality. So the first thing is relaunching the same offer again and again and again and again. And you might be like, well, duh. But in actual fact, what so many of you do, what we work with many women on in Scalable Signature Society on, is traditionally they might launch something. Maybe the first launch doesn't go that well, and then they scrap it, they launch another thing. Or they get shiny object syndrome and they're constantly looking around the internet, scrolling Instagram for the next big secret. And they're like, oh my God, low ticket offers. Yeah, let's give this a go. And they're kind of bouncing around to thing to thing to thing. Now, I'm guilty of this too. Like, I've had shiny object syndrome as somebody who teaches different business strategies. There's also an element of, I want to be an experimenter. I want to be a mentor who's trying out different things and can say, okay, well, this is what works for that. This is what doesn't work. Is this worth its salt or isn't it? So there is an element of that. But by and large, the thing that works, and it's like, I don't know how I can make this, like, give this exclamation points The thing that works in 2025 and 2026 is launching the same offer again and again and again and again. A signature offer that positions you as the expert in your niche with a particular transformation. When I think to how I became so successful as a life coach, pretty much everything I'm about to speak to today is exactly what I did. Like, this is how I did it. This is how I do it in this business as well. Launching the same offer again and again and again and again means your audience is aware of the offer, your audience is aware of the transformation. You become really good at how to sell that offer, learning the drop-off points from pre-launch right through to cart closed. You get to make the bonuses better and better and better. You get to make the program itself better and better and better, which then fuels better customer results, which then fuels better testimonials. And because I know I have a lot of people who are within health and wellness, because of I used to be a life coach within infertility, and you're in regulated industries, do not say to me, I can't ask for testimonials. That doesn't mean people aren't talking about you behind your back. I heard someone refer to this as the invisible hand recently. People are talking about you behind your back. If someone has a service or an experience with someone and they're like, this changed my life. So let's say, I don't know, you're a chiropractor. You're in a heavily regulated field. You can't ask for testimonials, but someone's like, oh my God, like, I don't know, like lower back pain and you're a chiropractor. And then someone meets someone else who goes, oh my God, I've got a lower back. You best believe if they had a really great experience in your program, they're going to turn around to the other person and be like, seriously, you need to do this program. Or they're going to turn around and be like, oh yeah, I tried this and it was pretty crap. So if you have the one offer that's focused on the one transformation, you're going to have the opportunity to dial in that offer more and more and more and more. And that is then going to fuel so many more future sales for you, whether you do or don't, or can or can't ask for testimonials. But when you relaunch the same offer again and again and again and again, this is why it's so important in 2025 and 2026, is because your audience has a longer time of consideration right now. Let's not make ourselves wrong for that being the case. But when you launch something, you might get someone, I don't know, 50% of the way ready to buy in the first launch. You might not get the sales that you want. You might be like, oh, I'm so disappointed. I'm going to launch it one more time. And they might get to 75% ready to buy. And then what are you going to do? You're going to either give up after the second launch and launch a new offer, or you are potentially going to not launch again and for another year. But what if the next time you launched, that's when all of these people that you had started warming up in the first launch became ready to buy? When you have that longevity, that delayed gratification, that ability to say, okay, well, actually, I'm committed to this because I know that this is important. I know that this solves a problem that people are desperately willing to pay to solve. And I'm committed to the process of iterating and improving not only inside my course, but the way that I market it, the way I communicate it, the way I position it, and committed to doing that again and again and again, and committed potentially to, if what you're doing right now isn't working, getting someone to help you figure out why. If you can't see the wood for the trees with your own stuff, no one can see the wood for the trees properly with their own stuff. I can't sometimes see the wood for the trees on my own stuff. It's, what is it, the phrase? It's like the plumber always has leaky pipes, something like that. When it's your own stuff, it's different. So that's why there is so much power in investing in mentorship. But if you have the same offer that you launch again and again and again and again, not only do you have the time to improve that, but in a market where people are less inclined to purchase through hype and maybe want a bit more details, maybe want to have that consideration, maybe want to budget for your offer in a different way, if you're launching that again and again and again and again, and what we're seeing in the market right now is I teach a process where I'm like, you should be launching 4 to 6 times a year. What we're actually seeing in the market right now is people almost going through either weekly or monthly launches of their offer. Yes, they are running a live webinar every week and then inviting people from that live webinar to join their offer. And they're doing that either weekly or monthly. This is what's working in the market. Evergreen only funnels are like, wah, wah. But live weekly or monthly experiences are working. We are about to see live launches become one of the most important sales, strategies in 2026. We're going to see people launching a lot in 2026 because launching works. When sales are down, launching still works, and launching is more important than ever. Launching is one of the number one things you should be doing in this market. And launching is one of the things that activates your audience. It gets them into momentum and starting to buy. But you have to understand that they're not necessarily going to buy straight away. So you need to be launching the same offer again and again and again and again, rather than giving up. Now, while I speak to this, we have in the mastermind, we've coined a term between me and one of my clients, and you can very intentionally do this. I've done it recently. She did it recently. What we call a first pancake launch. So the first pancake is sometimes it still tastes good, but sometimes it kind of sticks to the pan a little, or the shape isn't right, or the consistency isn't quite right, or the pan's not quite hot enough, whatever it is. The first pancake, you've got to just accept that sometimes the first pancake is okay, and that the first pancake paves the way for a beautiful next pancake. So here's what I see happen a lot, and this is why one of the reasons why I've really prioritized 12 months of mentorship with me is because this is how it goes. You are really busy in your life and your business. It is full, right? You between kids, between other jobs, between you could be a therapist or a counselor or a consultant in your main corporate life. You could be full with that, right? You know that you want to create an online business. Maybe you're full with one-to-one clients or nearly full with one-to-one clients. And you think to yourself, I really want to create whatever it is, an online course, a group program, a mastermind, some form of one-to-many offer. But you are already in a full life. You do not have necessarily full time to commit to this. And you may not have as big an audience as you would like. And you know that part of the process of growing your business will be list growth and list building. We'll speak to that in a moment, but do check the show notes. All things list building. If you know it's a priority, come follow me on Instagram, check out my emails, look at the show notes because you're going to want to be involved in what I have coming up in November. But, then what you do is you go, you know what? There is never a right time to do this. It just has to happen now. Because you have the aha moment that actually life never settles down. And if I want to create the business that funds the life that I want to have, and that is life first by design, I'm going to have to go ahead with the busy schedule, with the full life, with all the hiccups and the things that come along with it. I'm just going to need to get it out there. So one of the things that we do when we work together is we will do what I call an ascertain launch. We are going to quickly and dirtily, if that's not a word, but dirtily put out there your signature offer. We are going to test the demand with your audience. We're going to get them to put their money where their mouth is, and we're going to temperature check if this is an offer that has profit potential in the market. There is only one way to see if there is viability in your offer, and that is to get people to buy it. So we want to do as little work up front as we can. I don't want you to sit there and spend 3 years, and you might think to me as saying 3 years as an exaggeration. Actually have had multiple clients have this on the vision board, and They've wanted to record all of the modules, get all the sales pages, the webinars, everything together, then launch. It's not the way you do it. You create as minimal resources as possible and you check first if demand exists in the industry. So it's a really quick and easy process. We call it the hand raiser process. We have different templates that you can use, and you take that out and very quickly see if there is demand in the industry for your product. Easy, check, right? Then the next time we launch, we want to do what I call an all-out launch, or this time we're just going to call it the first pancake launch. So what you will do is then you'll be like, oh, amazing. I've sold out this program. I'm getting paid to deliver it. My audience gets an exceptional offer to join this. Cool freaking beans. Let's go. Like, this is what I wanted. Now let's go ahead and create that and deliver that offer. So you are then going to spend whatever it is, the next 4, 6, 8, 12 weeks working with people to deliver this product or service. So you are busy. You're already busy in your life. You know that this is what you want to create. So you're fully prepared to do that, and you've been paid to do it. So you've had a beautiful cash injection. You're feeling great. You're delivering it. People are getting that beautiful two-way feedback. And then you're like, sweet, right? In 3 months, you want to launch again. But here's the problem. Because you were so focused on delivering that offer, a couple of things slid. Like, oh, right, like I slid a little bit on Instagram. I slid a little bit with list building. Haven't been showing up and having that kind of magnetism and energy in showing up as much as I want. And I haven't, I now, if I want to sell this offer again, I'm going to need a sales page, launch emails, webinars, blah, 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 other work. So you can very intentionally go into the next launch with the view that, do you know what? I am aware that this is the case. I am aware that I haven't had the opportunity to really engage my audience and grow my audience. And we call it a first pancake launch. It's not going to be like necessarily a bestseller because like we shook the tree a couple of months ago. We got all those beautiful warm people that didn't need a lot and got them into the offer already. So the next launch is sometimes what we call a first pancake launch. If you intentionally go into that launch knowing it's a first pancake launch, your expectations are going to be on point. But if you don't, if you're like, oh my God, that first launch, piece of cake, I'm just going to go in and like do the bare minimum again, like hand raiser, let's go. Sometimes it works. Often it doesn't work in the way that you would expect it. You're like, oh my God, I got like 8 people the first round. Now I want to get 16 people. That only kind of really works when you've done the list building, you have all the assets. So if you go into the next launch expecting it to be a first pancake launch and be like, cool, I'd love another 8 or I'd love another 6 people into this offer, that can be very much be the reality. But if you really want to start growing that, you're going to need all of the assets, the webinar, the process, the growth, etc. So if you don't have that expectation that it's a first pancake launch, then you are going to be disappointed. You're going to quit. You're going to spiral and panic and be like, oh my God, nothing's working. It's not converting. No, don't do that, right? The best launch strategy is relaunching the same offer again and again and again and again, and understanding that bit by bit, especially if you can only work part-time hours, is building out the assets gradually, having a system that gets to be rinse and repeat, and understanding that the second launch sometimes is a first pancake launch. If you don't want it to be a first pancake launch and you want to accelerate, it almost like as soon as you start delivery, we start pre-launch for the next offer, and giving yourself permission that if you don't want to work, in that leveraged way, it's sort of almost like a lever, right? When we want a time leveraged business, if we want to have a one-to-many business that has exceptional live launches, cool, there is going to be some work involved. And what happens is you put in that initial high workload to then recoup that back later. with less work and high profits. And that's how you get it. That's why I will always call it time leveraged revenue rather than passive income. So anyway, thank you for listening to that TED Talk. The next one is short and sharp launches. If you are launching the same offer again and again and again and again, you don't have to do 1 month of cart open or 2-3 weeks of cart open. You can do a 5 to 7 day cart open. Then you know that you have this period of 5 days when you might be working a little bit more. Ideally, you're going to have rinse and repeat systems, so it gets to be really beautiful and easy. If you have the systems there, you can have the emails like pretty much ready to go, super amazing. But short and sharp launches, where there's that repetition and your audience knows your offer, they know your messaging, they know what it's about, they know the transformation already, that lends itself to the opportunity to have short and sharp launches rather than the high energy output that might come from really long pre-launches and really long cart opens that are required in order for your audience to fully understand the transformation and be bought into that. The next one that is working really, really well is wait lists. When done right, are working so well. They are also such a mindset hack as well, because by the time you open the doors and you're running your webinars, etc., to already have sales through the door, you're like, oh, love that. But then we want to have the webinar or the challenge. The good old webinar funnel is still one of the best converting funnels in this market. The free webinar or free challenge still slaps. Again, but most people are giving up after the first one instead of looking at the data and rinsing and repeating. If you are launching again and again and again and again, 4 to 6 times in a year, possibly even, like having that monthly or weekly webinar cadence, you're going to really learn after, like the first 6 webinars, what works and what doesn't. You're going to be so much better at pitching your offer. You're going to be so much better at knowing and anticipating what questions people have. Honestly, this works. So if you are working in part-time hours, a webinar or a challenge is a free webinar or a challenge, to my mind, is still the number one way to enroll people in your product or service. None of these like low ticket offers or anything like that, they require too much time, too much iteration, and too much expenditure on Facebook ads when you are working part-time and possibly trying to get that lift off. Number 4 is the business model. I mean, I know that this, you would be like, well, duh, but you need to have a business model that matches the output that you can put out. And so many people are like, well, yeah, duh, but you can only work part-time hours, but you still have such a heavy one-to-one reliance that what it's doing is not allowing you to invest enough time in your launches, your top of funnel, or your content, and your timings are off. So what you need is to be able to strategically plan your revenue, and you need to be able to plan that based on the revenue that you want. Now, the other thing is that people sometimes go fully the other way, and they're like, I just want a hands-off business with digital products. Cool, but you haven't properly strategized what revenue, like what quantity of sales you are going to need in order to make the revenue that you want. And in order to make the revenue that you want, are you going to need to, number 1, invest a lot of time into having a cascading sequence of other offers that are going to bump up that customer lifetime value? Or are you going to, is the math not going to math that you're going to need so many sales that with actually a really small audience that it's just never going to actually be feasible for you to make the revenue that you want in the hours that you want with that kind of lifestyle? It is still always best to have that one-to-many signature offer that's at a premium-ish price point, and then having that one offer dialed in, working well, converting well. then you don't need as many sales in order to make the revenue that you want, but it's still going to be a time leveraged model, like a group style of offer. Still going to be the best model. If you then later, once you've got more time, you've got more safety and security, you want to go into lower ticket offers, etc., sure, but start first with the offer that's going to bring you into time leverage whilst giving you the revenue opportunities with, a limited number of leads. Which brings me to number 5. The best launch strategy, when you relaunch the same offer over and over again, you have short and sharp launches, you have a business model that is time leveraged, list growth and ads. There is such a reluctance to run ads. I can tell you, even the biggest players on the market are still enrolling like 75% of people into their webinars, into their conversion events through ads. If you want to stay at 5 people for every launch, go ahead and don't run ads. But if you know that you want to have those bigger launches with more ease, and you don't want to be spending all day having to try and have like 100,000 followers on Instagram and hustle to get people into your conversion events, if you want to have big launches and big revenue in part-time hours, ads are a non-negotiable. And I know I speak to so many people who say, I know I need ads, but never get around to it. Stop waiting on this. You need ads. If you can only work part-time, I actually, in my business, I feel so much less stressed when I have ads doing everything for me, because I know that I can take time off, things will still run, I'll still be getting warm leads into my pipeline, I'll still be getting inquiries. Chef's kiss, man. So really, I want you to, in 2026 and right now in 2025, ideally, you want to start having your pre-launch campaigns set up and running over the Christmas break. Yes, people are still on their phones on Thanksgiving, on Christmas, on New Year's. You best believe that you've got downtime, that there's time when you're just scrolling on your phone. You've got time to read more. So yes, you are still signing up to lead magnets. You are at the end of the year starting to think about what you want for 2026 and how to wrap up the year. And as soon as 2026 hits, you're like, okay, goals set, let's go. Doesn't matter what niche you're in. It's a really good time to be list building in December, January. So if you want support with that, that is exactly what we are doing right now. Check the show notes below. I have a 13-page Google document for you. It's a lead gen case study that's going to get the brain juices ticking. I have a masterclass coming up that is going to speak to exactly what it takes to scale from 5 to 20K months in 2026. And 2 other things. Number 1, I have a Black Friday offer coming up for Scalable Signature Society that is going to include a 2-week leads on autopilot sprint. We're going to have prizes. It's going to be epic. Every day I have a power hour activity that you are going to do. And then every day we have another activity that you are going to do to get yourself fully set up, cooking with gas into the new year. And if you are a service provider or a group program leader and you are already at 5 to 15K per month in revenue, you want to be in that room, you want that proximity, you want to be scaling with high touch support and strategy, then you might be a fit to be considered for the Peace and Profit Mastermind. If that is you, you can reach out to me on Instagram at Robin Birkin. I know you may be considering your end of year / beginning of year investments right now. And ideally, I want you to have everything set up before you go on that Christmas break too. So if that is you, come and speak to me rather than waiting until January, which if you have kids, we all know that really the new year only starts in February. But if you are kicking off, in February, you are already on the back foot of what it is that you need to be doing. So ideally, we want you to be cooking with gas as soon as possible over that break so that you can kick off and we can kick off together with some big and beautiful launches in February and March. So if you are at that 5 to 15K mark, even if that's through done for you or one-to-one services per month, then reach out to me and you may be considered for the Peace and Profit Mastermind. That is all for today. I cannot wait to catch you next week. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.